my name's Chip Bell, and in the early 80s they started calling me Chipper Bro. And a Japanese lady asked me once, "What's that mean?" And I said, "Happy brother." And the name kind of stuck. And again, in the early 70s, alternative sports were one of the coolest things you could want to do. Alternative sports, and the word freestyle was so romantic. Freestyle skiing, freestyle BMX, and freestyle Frisbee. I was just so attracted to it. As opposed to conventional sports, again, alternative sports were cool. So about 1979, I started seeing some Frisbee players, and they were catching it behind their back in Santa Barbara and under the leg, and I thought, man, I want to go to a Frisbee tournament someday. So that Frisbee tournament happened to be the Rose Bowl. And I got down there with my best friend, Jay Hinkle, and we sat in the stands, and I said to Jay, you know what? Someday I'm going to be on that field. And I set some goals to get out there to be on that type of a level of playing, and I started dedicating 1980 and 1981 to really freestyle Frisbee, going to my first tournaments. In fact, my first tournament being in Santa Cruz, California. It was super fun as we developed, and of course, you know, there's not a player around that makes your first year or your first tournament out of the prelims, so we kept going back to the drawing board, and of course Santa Barbara and Palm Park being the mecca of freestyle. 1981, it was just such a great winter, and I had been picking up my game and had several partners during that year, and it was New Year's Eve. I was at a party hanging out, and I happened to sit on the couch next to Joey Hudocklin, and we're partying and laughing, and I was 19 years old, and he turns to me, he goes, "Hey Chipper, you want to be my partner next year?" And I was like, wow, man, Joey Hudocklin, the man himself, just asked me to be his partner. And I said yes. And it was so cool how that relationship took off, and we started training. And it was back to Santa Cruz in 1982, and we played and made it to the World Frisbee Championship Finals at Cabrillo. And I remember Joey and I working so hard, and I was so nervous, and Joey calmed me so much to give me the confidence to just play through and play my game and complement each other in our co-ops. As the finals ended, we were standing there, and they started to name 5th place, 4th place, 3rd place. And in 2nd place, you know, I think it was Bill Wright and Lairbs. And I turned to Joey and I go, God, we didn't even make the top 6. And then they announced the World Frisbee Championships of 1982, the new world champions, and it was Joey and I, and it was so cool that for that set my goals was accomplished, and I was like, wow, I made it to this platform. And it was a neat moment and a milestone in my life to be able to be crowned that. And I had learned at that moment that, you know, it was so neat to make it to the top, but it was all about the process and getting there and learning all the moves, and you know, you become to that level, and it was anybody's game at that point. And you know, it could have been a couple drops less and we could have not made it. So I had so much respect for our competitors. And Joey and I moved, you know, in Santa Barbara, we moved this guy who was just such a great friend and a knucklehead friend of ours, is Crazy John. And we moved him up to Santa Barbara in a crazy story in a Volkswagen bus with Monkey Man, and we spill him front row on the beach in Santa Barbara, and he becomes the captain of the Bud Light Frisbee team, and asked, you know, in a cool way, Joey and I to be on the team. So for us, the Bud Light Frisbee team was formed, and we started touring around the world and opening up for bands like Cheap Trick, Molly Hatchet, Toto, Jan and Dean, 60, 70, 120,000 venues. People, it was so crazy. You know, we literally lived like rock stars. First class airplanes, first class hotels, traveling with the bands. And it was so cool that we literally had to play Frisbee for 6 to 8 hours a day, 7 days a week was our job. We'd be busy on the road 100, 200 days a year, and including taking us to Japan and doing the first American rock and roll tour in China with Jan and Dean and the world champion Frisbee team, which actually sparked the demonstrations that led up to Tiananmen Square in 1989. So the history of the Bud Light Frisbee team was phenomenal, and we took it to the heights as arguably the most successful Frisbee team in history. I was an honor to be a part of the movie The Invisible String, and so much is highlighted with all of the disc sports and ultimate, freestyle, disc golf, DDC, and all of them combining with such a legacy of sports and culminating now to basically our 40th year here in Santa Cruz, California for the US Open Frisbee Championships and Skippy Jammers, retirement to jam more. It's just been an honor of a culmination of being part of this Frisbee community, and it's really shaped my soul, my spirit of who I am today. And I'm able to share that with my family and my children and with my community. And my Frisbee career has never stopped. It bleeds everywhere I go. And people are proud to know me, and I'm proud to share the sport of Frisbee.